Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Azeroth Daily for the 18th of April 2011. My name is TotalBiscuit. I'm bringing you your daily dose of WoW news and comment. In the headlines today, MMO Champion has gone delving into the new PTR patch files and has discovered a new patch 4.2 related model, specifically a boss by the name of Lord Anthracyst, who appears to be some kind of fire giant with a floating disembodied head. Little bit of an unfortunate situation to be in, I tend to find. I don't know how exactly the fire giants function with disembodied floaty heads, but hey, whatever. It's a cool looking model nonetheless. Looks like he's got a stove burning in the back of him. We could perhaps get some pie. Whatever the case, there is a little bit of information about the firelands on the MMO Champion website, a raid preview which they're going to continue to add to as they go through, and they've managed to get a basic instance map as well as a couple of other things in there as well, so go check it out. And on the subject of patch 4.2, they've also managed to mine another model called an Overfiend, and these are trash mobs that come in multiple colors and styles. Yes, indeed. There you are. And they reckon that the fire model will be used in the dungeon, and they will then reuse the multiple recolors in a variety of different places in future. Go and have a look at that one. The Council of the Three Hammers, Fire and Iron has been released, which is a 7-page extended lore short story written by Matt Burns, containing some comic book art as well, I believe in the style of the DC comics. Certainly worth looking at, although I have to say, challenge anyone not to immediately think the words dat ass when looking at the face of the dwarven female. Yes, cannot unsee on that one. Thanks, Internet, for completely ruining everything. Latest round of community news has come out with some information for those who read the foreign language sites, including the Czech and Slovak site wowfan.cz. It's got information on BlizzCon ticket sales, and they're running a contest to give away a WoW hockey jersey. Also, the Italian site battlecraft.it has translated the answers to the achievement-related edition of the Ask the Dev series, and Polish site wowcenter.pl has translated the Leader of the Horde Garrosh Hellscream article. So that's worth looking at if you happen to be one of our foreign language fans. Also, a roundup of this week's comics and noteworthy forum threads available in the description below this video. Blizzard has released a chance for you to highlight cool community-related and created content that you think is worth a look, and you can email wowcomwatch@blizzard.com. That's wowcom with 2 M's watch @blizzard.com with suggestions for community-related content. There is a comment section. People seem to be posting things there anyway, and I'm not entirely sure why, and also pointing out things that are not exactly what I would call hidden gems, which is actually what they're wanting here. Help us find and promote the hidden gems. Why don't you do Red Snapper? That's because everybody knows what Red Snapper is, let's be honest, as well as knowing what Nim is, Yahtzee, and a wide variety of other things. Why the hell would they mention Yahtzee anyways? I think he's only mentioned WoW once. Whatever the case. With that, it's time for your Daily Blues. I have to wonder why people keep posting rubbish threads like this. Alvidius comes up with a thread called I Saw Him and said, Deathwing, well, he was bugged. Or in reality, in this case, he's claiming his monitor cable was loose, so he looked around and just saw the wings of Deathwing and nothing else. Okay. He didn't die, apparently, and didn't see anything else that was dead because of Deathwing. Why would you post this? I really don't know. More to the point, why would Nethera even reply to it and deign it with an answer? Here we go. Dying inside won't give the achievement, but I feel your pain. I've yet to be bathed in the flames of Deathwing. I'm sure he'll continue to make his rounds, however. Good luck. Oh my. Oh my. I don't know, I'm okay with Nethera having a little bit of fun, and also replies here as well, as you can see on the screen, but I don't know why people even post threads like this. They have no value of any description. They're not even funny, so whatever. Quick public service announcement from Zarhym and the MVP Shandley. There is a lot of very useful information about the current Adobe Flash exploit, and you might want to check that one out. And here's the full post on the screen right now. You can click the link in the description below this video. Annoyingly enough, MVPs can't post real links, which is really irritating. I don't know why they can't do that. Something that Blizzard should certainly look into doing. But basically, there is an update to Flash Player, and any version that's 10.2.153.1 and earlier has a potential security exploit in it, so get it sorted out. Go click the links, make sure that you are up to date on that one. Otherwise, of course, you are at risk of a security exploit, which may also involve keylogging. Now, a follow-up to an issue we covered last week, which was in regards to having an option in the GM form to say, we don't need a response for this issue, and Erlene actually misinterpreted this, however, has now followed up with an apology saying she didn't quite address the issue properly and didn't explain her point fully the first time. Now, she goes on to explain a little bit more about how it actually works, and that in 4.1 they will be revamping the support UI, and the focus is going to be on making the in-game knowledge base much easier to use. Also, she says that at the time of writing, and of course this is subject to change, they have a report abuse feature within there, which actually may address the complaint, and one assumes that you can probably click report abuse and you will not actually get a response. That way it'll just be a quicker, more streamlined process. I have to assume that because it doesn't make any sense otherwise. And that's us done for that, folks, so let's get on to the daily grind. Now, we reach the end of the Defias Brotherhood questline with this one, a vision of the past, which follows up directly from the rally that we saw in the previous episode. And in this one, you have to enter the dead mines, and you will actually be directed down there by following a trail of homeless, and you use the incense burner inside to enter a trance-like state and view what's been going on in the past, including the battle with Edwin Van Cleef, which I might add is an exceptional way to provide a lore introduction for those people that maybe didn't join the game at the start and perhaps are unfamiliar with that particular boss and what exactly is going on there. Good stuff, ladies and gentlemen, and that really brings me to the end of that particular series of questlines, and no doubt I'll be showing you more in the near future. And with that, it's time for your weekly feature, ladies and gentlemen. This is Machinimondays. Now, we turn to an old favourite, the one and only Baron Susden, who brought out this particular piece of work at the end of February. So let's try and fix the fact that a lot of people missed it, including myself, by looking at this one. It's called 1.12.1/4.0.3/2019, which I believe would be the longest Machinima title ever, if you were to say it out loud. So this is a sort of ambient, surreal kind of machinima. There's no voice acting or anything in it, and as per usual, we have a lot of Baron Susden stuff, which is good, because really Baron Susden is very, very good at creating these ambient worlds, and is also the master of the filter. He can make World of Warcraft look completely different simply by the use of video editing techniques, and he was also responsible for doing some videos with model editing and stuff like that, which looked absolutely fantastic. In this respect, I had to actually ask him what the hell this movie was all about, and his response was, how about this? It's an artistic and pretentious interpretation of FU aimed towards all those pointless Plix Blizzard give vanilla servers please threads on the official forums. Okay, I suppose that kind of makes sense. In terms of the actual movie itself, the visuals are stellar, as you might expect. There's a great mishmash up of old world content, newish content, and this crazy future city from 2019. And this is not the first time that he's actually crossed World of Warcraft with other video games and other engines, and it always ends up looking absolutely stellar. I'm not really sure if it actually conveys the point, or indeed if there is any point to convey. He might just be making things up right there. But still, I very much enjoyed watching it, as I tend to with all of Baron Susden's movies, and on that basis, I will give it a hearty 4 trolls out of 5. You can check out the full thing with the soundtrack by clicking the link in the description below this video. And with that, it's time for the mailbox. This one comes in from Fuzz Fuzz the Hippo, and I'm fairly sure that's not his real name. If it is, then you have very cruel parents, who says, I reached max level of 85 a few weeks ago, and I started using the random dungeon finder. I found that normals were fun, but soon got boring because they were too easy. I decided because I could to go into heroics. However, I was met in heroics with hostility, as my gear and DPS apparently sucked. And when shown DPS meters, could clearly see the difference. I was asked to leave and did not want the pug to fail because of me. However, my questions are these. Are other group members allowed to ask me to leave? After all, I did queue up for a very long time, and it is apparent that the item level sorter with the dungeon finder doesn't work very well, and let me into the group only to be kicked out. So should Blizzard come up with a new item level sorter that takes into account item level relevant stats to your class and spec and things like that? I would be interested to know your opinions on this matter. Well, I don't agree that item level is the be-all and end-all of everything, but the problem is you've And this is kind of like quite a lot of emails like this I get, so this is half the reason I'm answering this, to give people this indication. You didn't give me any information. I don't know what your character is. I don't know what item level you are. I don't know what gear you're wearing. Were you wearing all PvP gear? Were you wearing cloth when you're a warrior or something? I don't know. I don't even know what class you are. So it's really difficult to answer that. But what I can say is that, yes, absolutely, people do have the right to ask you to leave. They could kick you out via a majority vote. I would imagine that the timer wasn't on there yet to allow them to do that, so they asked you to leave. And you don't have to actually go, but when the timer does go off on the vote kick, they'll probably just kick you out. The thing is, if you left, surely you would get the leaver debuff, which is fairly bad, so I don't know. You are within your right not to leave and to make them use the vote kick function. The problem, I suppose, really is not the item level sorter, it's the attitude that people get because these dungeons are dull. It's the same problem that happened in Wrath. This was not really the case in the previous expansions, and it's because people just want to get through the dungeon as fast as possible, so their actual standards for your gear are extremely high. Why? Because they want to finish as quickly as possible. So if you're lagging behind and you're being a kind of albatross around the neck of the group, even if you're not making it wipe and you're just keeping them in a dungeon they don't want to be in for longer than they should, then yes, they're going to get upset. And it's a shame, really, because if Blizzard actually kept the dungeons at the difficulty level they were in during beta, then people might be more focused and more interested in them, because they're not bad dungeons. The content is good. The problem is they made it boring in the same way that they made the Wrath dungeons boring. They made them far too simple, and they took the attitude that heroic 5-mans really shouldn't take all that much effort because people do them every day, and we should make it appealing to entitled casuals. And I say entitled casuals because casual players don't whine about difficulty. It's only entitled ones that believe that their $15 a month subscription entitles them to get all of the gear that they want very, very easily with bare minimum effort that are the real problem here. It's very sad to see Blizzard continuing to appease those people. This one comes in from Nezu, who says, "There's a lot of arrogant and stupid people on not just WoW, but in all video games in general, and normally it's tolerable, but some things are just unbelievable. Today in guild chat, a guildie got the achievement for getting their level 40 mount, and like I always do, I typed in grats. He turned around and said it's not an achievement and told me to STFU. I said the game gives achievement points for it, and so the game considers it an achievement, so he should just take the congratulations and continue playing. He started yelling and swearing at me, so I ignored him and hoped that it would be the end of it. However, it only took a few minutes for him to get himself G-kicked after that." He comes back in his main and started it up again and opens up by saying that he suffers from mania and that I was wrong to have started a fight with him, and then he continues to go on to the whole "I take pills, treat me special" thing. I ignored him and he got G-kicked 5 minutes later after continuing to yell at me even though he knew I couldn't see it. Now, I suffer from bipolar and ADHD, both very severe even with daily medication and conscious effort. I have a very big problem with people who use mental health conditions, especially personality disorders, in order to get special treatment. It's just insulting because every day I get up and deal with my condition privately and discreetly, and I've never used my condition to get special treatment aside from learning assistance in school. This is a video game and I don't see why people need to care about this kid's personal issues, which he should be expected to deal with elsewhere. What are your thoughts on mental health disorders, specifically personality disorders, being used like this online or in real life? Now, I am actually going to give a response direct from my researcher, as opposed to me. And it's not because I'm lazy, folks. I will give a little bit of an addendum after this, but it's because it's relevant. Yeah? And this is an issue that my researcher actually feels very, very strongly about. So I'm just going to read this out verbatim for you, because I think it answers it better than I ever could. He says, "You did the right thing, and I agree with you. People with mental health issues already suffer a significant stigma within our society, and whilst things are improving, people who act like your former guildmate make this process go much slower. Being someone who has a long history of mental health issues, I sympathise greatly. I do, however, find it very useful to discuss honestly with my guildmates with regards to my condition, so they are aware of factors that may affect them, but to do so early and in advance, so when they come up with your guildmates, they are more aware of what's actually happening. For example, side effects of my OCD mean sometimes I miss raids due to me being busy hunting down some bizarre minor in-game thing. I once spent 72 hours doing nothing but archaeology, trying to get a night elf trinket, and it can take me longer to learn encounters as my multitasking ability is diminished, and I find people are more appreciative of the difficulties you face if you're open with them. This translates out into real life. Much of the stigma associated with mental health is due to two factors: that an otherwise normal person is acting strangely, and a lack of knowledge on the subject. With proper openness, you can do a lot to diminish the latter issue. I wish you all the best for the future, and wish you the best of luck managing your condition. Yes, indeed. There you go. I'd like to add a small thing onto that, actually, and I don't know if I've actually told everybody this. I think I've mentioned it maybe once in one of my podcasts, but I don't think the majority of my YouTube guys actually know. I actually suffer from a fairly severe form of dyspraxia, which you can go and Google if you want to go and have a look at that condition. It's been something of a burden ever since I was a kid, really, and affected me in a number of ways. Admittedly, one of the things it does affect is direct hand-to-eye coordination, and that actually made me a great touch typist. At the age of about 4 or 5, I was touch typing, because if I look at the keys, I have a tendency of actually missing them. It's a little bit embarrassing, but hey, I can type really fast now. But there are a few things that dyspraxia actually affects, including the fact that it affects multitasking in some way. And it's not that you can't multitask, it's you have a tendency to zero in and tunnel vision on one particular thing. And funnily enough, that's actually the reason, as far as I can tell, that I'm really bad at puzzle games. Because things that you might perceive as very obvious, I just don't see them. I don't perceive them, it doesn't compute, because I fixate on the one thing. Say like the ball, for instance, great example. I was fixating on the movement of the ball, and all of the obvious stuff, like, say, how the pressure pads worked and things like that, completely, totally oblivious to it. Here's the thing, though. I'm not going to make excuses for my performance in video games or in real life or anything else as a direct result of my disability. That's ridiculous. You live with it. And the worst thing you can do, really, is to turn around and say, oh, well, it's only because because you become reliant, in a way, on your disability as a crutch. And I don't think that's very healthy. I think that you should always strive to improve yourself in every possible respect. And one of the other things about, say, dyspraxia is the whole hand-to-eye coordination thing. I used to be awful at shooters, but now I'm much, much better at them because I spent a long time practicing. And I suppose that if I played a lot of puzzle games and I got really interested in a genre that I actually don't really care about, then I'd probably get much better at them too. But aside from that, I don't make excuses for it. You know, people can mock me for that all they please. It doesn't matter. It's words on the internet. They don't hurt. Hell, I don't even read them. My YouTube comments are turned off. They're moderated by people, so I don't really care. But I would have to agree with my researcher's point of view there that being open is a good thing, but also if you do happen to suffer from any kind of mental disability, it is really not a good idea to try and make a martyr out of yourself from it. It's a terrible thing. Everyone has flaws, whether or not they're related to disabilities or not. Everybody has weaknesses. Accept them, make them part of you, because they are going to be part of you whether you like it or not, and try your best to overcome them as much as you can. That's really all there is to it. That's what I've tried to do, and hey, you know, this is coming from the guy who probably couldn't tie his shoelaces properly till he was about 10 years old, as a direct result of hand-to-eye coordination problems, so there you go. Okay, folks, that's me done for the day. Thank you very much for watching Azeroth Daily. Please remember to thumb it up and favorite it if you like it. But before I go, we have this week's theme, folks. Yes, we do. Now, for the postcards from Azeroth, I have a hunter-based theme. And don't worry, if you're not a hunter, you should find this kind of fun anyway. I want you to take a picture of something that you think should be tameable but isn't. Yeah? So, your fantasy pet, if you happen to be a hunter. And I would also like you to include in the description the one ability that you would like it to have, and that could be based on an ability it currently has, maybe if it's a boss or something like that, or it could be something just amusing that's kind of related to it. And the best ones will be shown on Friday's show. As for Friday's show, I will be down at the I-42 LAN event, but I should have a good recording environment, so I should be able to get the show up one way or the other, but it might just be a little bit late, or it might be a little bit short. Just letting you know that I'm traveling down on the Thursday. I'll probably do some of the editing down on the train for Thursday's show, and hopefully everything will work out just fine. But you know what happens if it doesn't. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you next time.